Hey there, today we are going to use some gouache paint and we're going to paint some cute characters. I'm using my crusty palette here because traditional water-soluble gouache can be reactivated on your palette, and I'm also using a watercolor sketchbook, which I would use or recommend for gouache because it's a pretty wet medium, and I will try to leave links to my products as well as possible, but you can use any type of gouache and you could also use any other art supply that you have for this idea. So you can see that I've already started kind of mapping out the first character, and I did a variety of simpler shapes and a little bit more intricate characters. So regardless of where you are with your skill level, you can pick the ones that you like and recreate those. You can make up your own characters, just use this as some kind of inspiration and some kind of idea, or whatever you see fit. You can recreate this however you want, or you can recreate the entire page just as is. And like I said, I used my palette here, so I reused a bunch of the colors on the palette and just added in some new paints. I usually do that. I will just add a few fresh paints and then mix that all together, so I have a variety of the ones that I reactivated and the ones that are fresh from the tube, so that I get the right consistency of paint. And right now I'm just starting with all of the characters and I'm doing multiple at once and letting them dry in between, so that I don't have to wait for each and every one of those to dry until I do more of the details. By the way, since this is a YouTube video, this is rather fast and I'm just showing you a bunch of ideas to get your inspiration going. But this is not really a slow step-by-step tutorial or anything like that. And if you feel like you'd profit from more step-by-step and slower instructions, then I recommend checking out the Complete Beginner's Gouache Course, which is a step-by-step course that is jam-packed with all of the information you might need about gouache, and it will take you from struggling with the medium to painting confidently with gouache. So make sure you check out the link in the description box and learn more about the course. You can see that we have a bunch of different shapes going now already, and you might already be able to tell a few of the things that I decided to paint here. And I didn't really have a theme for this other than the fact that all of these are characters and rather simple characters. So I just wanted to fill the page with whatever I was coming up with, whatever I had on my mind. So this is a little bit random. We have this kind of cat character. We have something that looks like a beetroot or radish or something like that. We also have this little lemon. I am obsessed with painting and drawing lemons for some reason lately. We have a fish, we have a candle with a face, and now I'm creating more shapes. This one is going to be a little pig, and the yellow circle is gonna turn into a sun, and the purple thing on the bottom left will be some kind of random creature. Here on the top right we have an apple, so we have a few different kinds of produce here. We have some plants and some other random creatures. This really was not something that I planned out beforehand where there is a specific theme. I've done a lot of sketchbook pages with themes and stuff like that, and you can definitely do that if you want to, for example, just use fruits and vegetables and give them cute faces, or only do animals, or whatever you want to do. If you have a specific theme, that I'm sure would be great, but you can also just doodle around, because after all, this is a sketchbook and not everything needs to be perfectly curated. I know that my sketchbooks are more on the side where you have more finished paintings that actually have color and a few details in them. And so when you flip through my sketchbooks, you see a lot of pieces that are pretty curated. But still, I feel like if I use a sketchbook, the pressure is off a little bit. And I can just mess around, just try new things, just paint blobs and give them a random face. This is really the time where you can explore, where you can do whatever you want to. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because this is most likely not going to be hung on a wall. So this is kind of why I like sketchbooks and why I'm drawn to them, because I use them in that sense. I am just doodling something. I also do that on sheets of paper sometimes, but sometimes this is just the attitude that you need to just doodle around, have fun, and you can add as much detail and be as precise as you want to, or you can make more typical sketchbook style things and just mess around. And speaking of messing around, the little blob on the bottom left, it kind of looks, I wanted it to look like it is made of something like a slime, or how that kind of consistency. And I messed around with the face a little bit. At one point, it kind of looked like Barney the dinosaur. I really didn't want that, so I removed parts of the face. So with gouache, you can kind of get away with these things and kind of correct your mistakes, because it is opaque and you can layer over top of your mistakes, and you can also kind of scrape away the paint a little bit, so it's easier to paint on top. That's what I do quite often. I would just make the area wet again, then use a tissue and just scrape it off a little bit, and then you can paint over top of that much more easily, and you don't have to worry about layering as much, and it's just a lot easier when you're correcting your mistakes. I also gave this character these leaves, kind of like hair, because it looked so bare and I wanted it to have something going on. And we also have a plant here. I also did a paintbrush in the middle, and I also did a pear on the top left. So we really have a variety of colors and shapes and all kinds of stuff on here. And I also added smaller stuff to kind of fill the page and to improve the composition a little bit. So we have this little bee that I put here, and I did an acorn on the bottom, and the other little circle is turning into a flower. And also went back and forth, like I said, with the characters, with adding eyes and faces. And most of these characters don't really have any limbs, they only have faces. But I did add feet to the pig, because when I was younger, I used to make these little pig figurines. I actually made them a lot during the new year, because in my country it is custom to eat marzipan on New Year's Day and the day before that. And I always made these little piglets with the marzipan, because pigs bring luck. I don't know if that's an international thing with the pigs, that they bring luck, but they do here. And you get a bunch of figurines during that time of the year here. And I used to do that with marzipan, and you could eat that, of course. And I kind of wanted to do the same shape that I used to make back then with that. And I believe I also made these figurines with clay at one point. I don't have any anymore, but I think it looks really hilarious that the feet are on the face. As a kid, I thought that this looked really, really cool. Now I think it's a little bit weird, but in a funny way. So I'm glad that this is on here as well and sent me a little bit on a trip down memory lane, because when I thought of what characters to do, this is something that came to my mind because I used to do that all the time. And yeah, I really did a lot of random things on here. We have the fish, and most of those things just have a face, like I said. I tried to spread the colors around a little bit so it looks kind of cohesive and the colors repeat a little bit. And this is what it looks like now. Again, check out my course if you want to step up your gouache game. And if you would like to see more gouache painting ideas, then check out this video next.